In the summer of 1998, Lakewood, Illinois, was a picture-perfect suburb where kids spent their days riding bikes and playing in the streets. At 10 years old, I was thrilled to be invited to Tony's 11th birthday party. Tony wasn't my best friend, but he was a popular kid at school, known for his easygoing nature and friendly attitude. His parents were famous for throwing the best parties, so when the invitation came, I could hardly wait. The day of the party arrived, and the short walk to Tony's house felt like an adventure. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows, but the excitement buzzing in the air was undeniable. Tony's house was a typical suburban home, complete with a manicured lawn and a white picket fence. The yard was decorated with colorful balloons, and a large banner reading, "Happy 11th Birthday, Tony," hung above the door. Inside, the living room had been transformed into a gaming paradise, and the smell of pizza filled the air. It was everything a kid could hope for, and as the evening approached, the energy of the party only grew. As the sun dipped lower and the shadows lengthened, the atmosphere of the party began to shift. After hours of playing games and eating pizza, a few of us drifted out to the front yard to catch our breath. There were 4 of us standing there: Chris, a boy from school, and 2 others whose names I can't recall. We were chatting when I noticed something odd at the far end of the street. At first, it was just a shadow, barely noticeable in the fading light. But as it moved closer, the figure took shape: a man dressed in a clown costume. The outfit was garish, with bright red and yellow stripes, oversized shoes, and a large floppy hat. His face was obscured by thick white makeup, with a painted-on smile that seemed unnervingly wide. We watched in silence as the clown slowly approached, his movements deliberate and unsettling. He didn't speak or make any of the usual clownish gestures. Instead, he just walked towards us with an intensity that made my skin crawl. The clown stopped at the edge of Tony's yard, just a few feet from where we stood. Up close, he was even more disturbing. His makeup was cracked and uneven, his costume faded and dirty. He raised a gloved hand and waved slowly, almost mockingly. The 4 of us exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of what to do. We were just kids, and while everything about this felt wrong, we still tried to convince ourselves that this was part of the party. But then, without warning, the clown lunged forward, grabbing Chris by the arm. Chris let out a yelp and pulled free, stumbling back. The clown's expression twisted into something far more sinister, and he took a step towards us. Panic surged through me as the clown suddenly broke into a run, charging at us with terrifying speed. We turned and bolted for the house, our hearts pounding as we raced towards the safety of the front door. We burst through the front door, slamming it shut behind us, and collapsed against it, our breaths coming in ragged gasps. Inside, the party continued as if nothing had happened. The living room was warm and brightly lit, filled with the sounds of laughter and video games. It was hard to believe that just outside, a nightmare was unfolding. We quickly found Tony and told him what had happened, our voices trembling with fear. At first, he didn't believe us, but when he saw how scared we were, he ran to get his parents. Tony's dad, a large man with a reassuring presence, listened carefully as we described the clown. His expression grew serious, and he shook his head. "We didn't hire any clown," he said, his voice tinged with worry. "There shouldn't be anyone like that around here." The realization that this wasn't a prank sent a chill down my spine. Tony's dad immediately called the police, while his mom gathered the other kids inside, away from the windows. As we waited for the police to arrive, the mood inside the house shifted from fun to fear. We huddled together in the living room, peering out from behind the curtains, our eyes scanning the darkened street. Minutes passed in tense silence, and just as we began to hope that the clown had gone, one of the kids spotted him at the far end of the block. My heart sank as I saw him jogging down the sidewalk, his head turning from side to side as if searching for something, or someone. When he reached Tony's house, he slowed down, turning to look directly at us through the window. For a moment, our eyes locked, and I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. The clown lifted his hand in that same slow, mocking wave, his painted smile seeming even more sinister in the dim light. Then, as suddenly as he had appeared, he turned and continued down the street, disappearing into the night. The police arrived shortly after, but by then, the clown was long gone. They searched the area, questioned Tony's parents, and assured us it was probably just a prank, but none of us felt reassured. The party ended abruptly after that. Parents arrived to pick up their children, each one leaving with a pale, frightened face. My mom came to get me, and as we drove home, I kept glancing out the window, half expecting to see the clown standing by the side of the road, watching us. That night, and many nights after, I was haunted by nightmares of the clown. In my dreams, he was always there, lurking in the shadows with that grotesque smile, waiting for the moment to strike. The safe, familiar world of my childhood had been shattered by that one terrifying encounter, and the innocence I had once taken for granted was lost. Even now, years later, the memory of that night sends chills down my spine. I never found out who the clown was, where he came from, or what he wanted. But the fear he left behind has never truly gone away. The shadow of that clown still lingers in the back of my mind, a reminder that sometimes, the scariest things are the ones that seem the most innocent.